Okay, coach, so how do I get my tenants to pay on time? Boy, isn't that the question, right? Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mark Dolfini, landlord coach. Hope you're having an amazing day. Let's talk about this really fast. So how do you get your tenants to pay on time? First and foremost, it starts with the screening process. Now, I know you're gonna be like, hey, coach, I don't really want to hear it. I know it, I'll check their credit and all this problem, and I still have problems with collecting rent. Well, here's the thing. Your screening process starts long before anybody puts their name and social security number down and you check their credit. It starts long before then. It starts actually when you place the ad and you're starting to attract people into your system. Now, if they feel that you don't have any sort of system or you're just a private landlord and you really don't know what you're doing, I'm telling you, it's like blood in the water. They will come to you and they will be on you like stink on poop. You don't want to be dealing or attracting that sort of people, those sorts of clientele that are going to be bringing nothing but drama into your world and asking you to work out payments over time and where they can do work in lieu of security deposit. You don't want any of that. You want to bring them in and indoctrinate them into a system that sounds professional, and you don't want to be dealing with any sort of people that are going to be working out things over time. Now, listen, I understand that everybody's got a hard luck story and everything else, but it is not your job to replace them in the quicksand. If they're in a rough time, there's resources for them, but that does not mean that you need to be running a charity. So you need to make sure that you sound systematic and have hard processes that are in place that you do not go back on. So what am I talking about? When you are placing an ad, you need to put stuff on there that makes you sound like a professional. Put an equal housing opportunity sticker on your photos, and you should be doing that anyway. You don't want to be dealing with fair housing violations. Put an equal housing sticker on your photos when you're posting them, whether it's on Craigslist or wherever else it is. There are people on Facebook communities that only specifically want to deal with private landlords. Well, why is that? Many times it's because they've got evictions, they've got sketchy things in their past, and people know that dealing with private landlords, they don't know what they're doing. And even if they've got sketchy credit, they know they've got several evictions, they know if they can get in front of a landlord with a compelling story that they're going to be able to talk their way into that property. So first and foremost, getting your tenants to pay on time, it's all about the screening process, and the screening process starts well before you ever actually get them to write their name or social security number down. So here's the other thing. When you're actually doing the screening process, you actually have to screen them. Now, what does that mean? Well, there are plenty of tenant screening services that are out there. Here's what I want you to caution you on, though. The data that you're getting, you have to check and see how timely that information is. Some of these credit reporting or tenant screening services are buying their data in bulk, and sometimes that data is 60 or 90 days old, right? So wouldn't it make sense that you're looking at data that is real time, right? Data is plural, so data are real time, right? So wouldn't it make sense that you're looking at data that are, okay, so if someone's being evicted last week, wouldn't you like to know that today rather than, oh, well, that happened 90 days ago? That's what you want to avoid. I like the data that come from National Tenant Network. You can find them, I think it's ntnonline.com. I don't get any sort of plug for them. I just like their data because I know it's in real time. But I also, part of our process is we also check the local court records to make sure that they're not being evicted locally. Now, if they're being evicted from another state and they're moving in, sometimes you're just going to miss that stuff. But you still have at least done your due diligence. That's why I make sure you have to screen them. You have to screen them and screen them and screen them as much as you possibly can. And you're screening for the appropriate things. Not just checking on the previous landlord, but checking on the previous, second or third deep, because the previous landlord or the one that they're currently working with, they want to get rid of them. Like, oh yeah, everybody should have a tenant like them, right? And they're gonna give them a glowing review. So my point is, you have to make sure that you're screening the appropriate things. Credit score, I don't get over the moon with that, really. That's just me personally, because I actually have my people underwrite them. We go through and look at their credit scores or their line item credit figures and say, okay, well, you've got $700 going out in just your minimum payments. How are you going to pay rent if you've got all these bills, right? We actually underwrite them. We want to make sure that they have an ability to pay, and it's not over 40% of their total debt service. So we actually run a debt to income. We want to make sure that they're actually have an ability to pay, all right? And then finally, so we talked about pre-screening, screening, and then also finally, you have to enforce your system. So if you have late fees and it's on the 3rd, it's on the 3rd, which means that you don't go back on that, which means that if they have not paid, say by the 3rd of the month, if you're giving a 3-day grace period, or you're not giving a grace period, that on the 2nd day or whatever, the first day of they're outside of the grace period, they're getting a phone call. They're getting a phone call, they're getting an email, they're getting a text message, they're getting blown up. Because you need to let them know that you're serious and you're a professional, and this is not acceptable behavior. So that's the big things, is making sure that you indoctrinate them early, let them know that you have a system, and that once they're in that system, you treat them systematically. Now, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to treat them like a number, but you do need to let them know that the behavior of them not paying rent on time is absolutely not going to be acceptable. And then you run them through that process. If they don't pay by the 4th day, or you get a commitment, say, oh yeah, they'll be in. I'll be in tomorrow to pay. Okay, what time? And they give you a time, and they miss that timeline. You're on the phone with them an hour later, or within 30 minutes to say, where are you at? We're waiting for you on this. And you have to be organized in order to do that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the one that's doing it all, but having a virtual assistant or someone else that's going to be that organized, that can make those phone calls in a timely manner, is going to keep you from creating a job for yourself. That's all I have for today, guys. Have a great day. Remember, if you don't place a value on your free time, someone else will. And most importantly, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day.